Tensions are rising at the world's longest undefended border. Trade wars, political standoffs, and Arctic ambitions are colliding. For decades, the line separating Canada and Alaska was more a friendly suggestion than a hard barrier. But now, that relationship is being tested. What began as economic posturing has spiraled into a complex struggle over sovereignty, security, and survival in the North. This isn't just about politicians, it's about real people. Fishermen in Haines, business owners in Skagway, and Canadian leaders determined to protect their identity. Let's break down how tariffs, annexation talk, and high-stakes Arctic moves are reshaping the future of North American cooperation. It all started with tariffs, a single policy decision that would ripple across borders and disrupt lives in ways few could have predicted. When the U.S. slapped tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, it hit border communities hard, sending shockwaves through industries that had long depended on open trade. Skagway and Haines in Alaska, and their Canadian neighbors, rely on each other for trade, jobs, and daily life. For generations, families and businesses have crossed the border as easily as crossing the street. Suddenly, goods that once flowed freely were caught in a political crossfire, with shipments delayed and paperwork piling up. Canada hit back with targeted tariffs, turning friendly neighbors into economic adversaries overnight. The sense of partnership was replaced by a tense standoff. Local businesses, restaurants, construction companies, fishermen, saw costs soar and uncertainty take hold. Many worried about how long they could survive. The easy cross-border relationships that defined these towns began to fray, replaced by anxiety and frustration. Neighbors who once shared coffee now shared concerns about the future. In Haines, fishing and timber industries tied to Canadian markets faced existential threats, as contracts dried up and uncertainty loomed over every catch and every log. In British Columbia, businesses lost access to Alaskan customers, watching their revenues drop and their shelves remain stocked. The tariffs didn't just hurt profits, they challenged the very identity of these border communities, built on cooperation and mutual reliance. The sense of unity was tested like never before. The border, once a formality, became a real barrier, one that separated friends, families, and livelihoods. The fallout was personal, immediate, and deeply felt. Every empty shelf and worried face told a story of disruption. This was the first act in a larger drama, exposing just how vulnerable these integrated communities are to political whims and international disputes. The foundation of North American friendship had been shaken, leaving everyone to wonder what the future might hold. As economic tensions reached their breaking point, the conflict between the U.S. and Canada took on a new dimension, one centered on sovereignty and national identity. Offhand remarks from President Trump about Alaska potentially becoming part of Canada, or the U.S. claiming the land bridge, sparked immediate outrage across Canada, dominating headlines and igniting heated debates in both countries. Canadian leaders, who are often divided along party lines, put aside their differences to declare in unison, Canadian sovereignty is not negotiable under any circumstances. The comments struck a deep nerve, reviving old anxieties about American dominance and galvanizing public opinion. Across the country, citizens voiced their concerns and the media dissected every word. The border dispute was no longer just about trade or economics, it had become a question of national pride, dignity, and the very essence of Canadian identity. In a surprising twist, Alaska's legislature passed a resolution supporting Canadian sovereignty over the Yukon, signaling their commitment to cross-border cooperation and mutual respect. Alaskans, acutely aware that their survival depends on Canadian roads, supplies, and goodwill, recognized the importance of maintaining a strong relationship with their northern neighbor. This act of solidarity helped cool tensions, at least on the surface. But the damage to trust and partnership had already been done. The episode revealed cracks in the North American partnership, exposing vulnerabilities that had long been papered over by diplomacy. Even casual words from powerful leaders can destabilize relationships, inflame public sentiment, and force nations to draw lines in the sand that are not easily erased. Canada was compelled to assert its independence more forcefully than ever, finding an unexpected ally in Alaska during this tense period. The annexation talk faded from the headlines, but the lesson lingered. Respect and recognition matter as much as borders themselves, shaping the future of international relations. With economic and political tensions running higher than ever, the Arctic has rapidly emerged as the world's next strategic battleground. Once seen as a remote and frozen wilderness, The region is now at the center of a new global contest for power and resources. As climate change accelerates, melting ice is opening up new shipping lanes and unlocking vast resource opportunities, transforming the Arctic into a global hotspot for trade, energy, and geopolitical maneuvering. In response, Canada has launched a $6 billion initiative to upgrade its Arctic defenses, modernizing radar systems, increasing military presence, and ramping up diplomatic efforts to secure its interests in the far north. The message is clear: the Canadian Arctic is Canadian, and the nation is prepared to defend it with both words and action. At the heart of this new urgency lies the unresolved Beaufort Sea boundary dispute with the United States, a conflict that has become a critical national interest as oil and gas reserves become increasingly accessible beneath the thawing ice. For Canada, the Arctic buildup is about more than just defense. It's about strengthening its negotiating position, asserting control over its territory, and ensuring its voice is heard on the world stage. Meanwhile, the United States is also expanding its Arctic strategy, increasing the number of Coast Guard icebreakers and boosting military operations in Alaska to secure its own interests. As allies in NORAD, the US and Canada now find themselves in a complex relationship, cooperating on continental defense while quietly competing for influence and control in the Arctic. With Russia and China also eyeing the region's resources and strategic routes, North American solidarity is more crucial than ever. But so is protecting each nation's unique interests and sovereignty. Canada's massive investment signals to the world that it wants to be an equal partner, not a junior one, ensuring its sovereignty is backed by real power and a credible presence in the north. The Arctic is now where all these tensions converge, turning a once quiet border into a stage for global competition, high-stakes diplomacy, and military posturing. What was once a local drama has now gone international, drawing the eyes of the world to the top of the globe. The tariffs, sovereignty debates, and Arctic race are all chapters in a single story, a relationship under pressure. The Canada-Alaska border, once a symbol of peace, is now a flashpoint where economies, identities, and ambitions collide. Even the closest friendships between nations require constant work and respect. The outcome will shape not just this unique region but the future of North American cooperation in a world of new challenges. The Canada-Alaska border drama is more than headlines, it's a clash of economies, identities, and Arctic ambitions.